So we are here today with Chef Peter, and he is the head chef and founder of Gander and Ryegrass. And thank you for being here today.
Of course.
How did you start cooking?
You know, my first real job was, when I moved to Spokane at least, was a server. I always knew that I wanted to be in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I spent most of my time looking in the kitchen, but the servers always made better money, so I just stayed out in the dining room. But I spent a lot of time trying really hard at home, and it just kind of grew and grew.
Yeah. Cool. So where were you before Spokane?
I grew up in Moses Lake.
Oh, that's cool. That's close to Spokane. That's
Yeah, it's just down the road. My parents still live there.
2 hours? Is it 2 hours?
Hour and a half. Yep.
Oh, it's pretty though.
It's pretty close.
So why did you start Gander and Ryegrass? Did you have any restaurants before that you worked at?
Yeah, so I've actually worked, so I moved here in 2006, and I've been working in restaurants or some sort of hospitality ever since then.
I
So
was born 2 years after you moved here.
Awesome.
2 years, 2 years.
All right, so I guess that makes it 14 years.
Yeah.
So I've been a server in a restaurant. I've been a barista, which is, barista. Yeah. So helped open a coffee shop. I helped open a pizza shop. And then I spent a little bit of time in Italy when I was a student at Gonzaga. And then when we moved back, I got a little bit more serious about cooking. And I worked in 4 different restaurants around town. And then I spent some time in Seattle. And when we came back, I said, I have to do this.
What was your favorite thing in Seattle?
Actually, the place that I worked at probably. It was called Altura. It was a teeny little Italian restaurant, all set tasting menu. You guys probably would have loved it.
Yeah,
A bunch of little bites. I would butcher animals here, and then the pasta guy would stand right there. And then in the evening time, I turned 3 pasta pots on my station on.
Wow.
And then we would cook pasta for, it might even only be 30 people that night.
You've been cooking pasta for a while.
Yeah.
So, what's it like running Gander and Ryegrass?
Oh, it's every day brings its own new challenges.
Yeah.
So today was one of those days. I was the last one out last night. I was the first one in this morning. And on a normal, when we're not in the middle of a lockdown, my normal day starts out checking invoices and doing some paperwork, and then I go downstairs. And then I go downstairs and I make a ball of pasta like we just did.
Oh, cool.
And then I'll continue along the day doing paperwork and helping cooks get to where they need to go and making sure the floor works out okay. So it's a lot of challenges, and no days like the next.
Yeah. Our grandma who owns a coffee shop, she made us organize over 200 receipts at one point.
Oh yeah,
It's a lot of receipts.
that could be one day.
Wow. This episode was brought to you by Thrive Market and these other wonderful sponsors. Are you looking for a drink that tastes good that your parents would approve of? Good news! Farmer's Juice is the perfect choice. It's organic, full of healthy ingredients, and definitely parent approved. The best part, though, is that it tastes even better than sugary drinks. Give it a try at GoGreenfields.com/Farmer's Juice. And if your parents use coupon code GoGreenfields, they can get $8 off their first box. Life is so exciting. There's always so much to do every day. We're always learning, playing, practicing, or cooking. So sometimes it's a little hard to shut it off at night. Fortunately, there's a healthy way to sleep easier. Doc Parsley's Sleep Remedy Kids. It's made just for us kids, and it works. Want to try it yourself? Go to GoGreenfields.com/sleep. Don't forget the coupon code, River. Oh yeah, the coupon code is GoGreenfields, and then you can save 10%. What made you choose the name Gander and Ryegrass?
Okay, well, this is a secret. You can't tell anybody.
Oh, cool.
I made it up.
Oh, okay.
I just made it up. But what we've come to realize about the name fits with our philosophy is that if you think about what the words are, ryegrass is like, it's actually grass on your lawn. It's the most normal thing in the world. Gander represents a goose, or sometimes it's a verb where you go, I'll just go take a gander at that. Something that you want to see. So we take something that's very normal and something that's excellent and will catch your eye and put them together. So we like to do high-end food as much as possible. Something that is very beautiful. That's always a big question. Is it beautiful? Is it delicious?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and this is the reason that I like pasta, is pasta can't ever be too fancy.
Yeah.
It's still pasta.
Yeah.
Ravioli is still ravioli. So it's always dinner. You're sitting down here to eat, and we can't ever lose the idea that we're here to eat, not just have an experience. That's part of it too. But if we're just having an experience that we're not actually eating, and it's about nutrition and it's about filling your belly.
Yeah. What's the most commonly ordered pasta dish, or like any other dish? Like what's everybody's favorite dish?
The one that has stuck around the longest, and the one that is probably requested the most, is our veal stuffed tortelloni, which we can make some of that. I don't know if we have the veal in house, but we can definitely make some tortelloni today. We serve it with crispy veal on top, and generally, if it's in season, we'll shave some truffles over the top of that.
Here's kind of a question to the side of that. What's the most commonly ordered drink here?
That's a tough question. Actually, there's our bartender is actually also our farmer, and so he'll bring in sage and lavender from his farm. He makes a little syrup with the sage and the lavender, and then there's a classic drink called a French 75, which is champagne and gin, and he just shifted it a little bit with the herbs from his farm and a little bit of gin, and then just a little splash of bubbly on top. Although for your age group, we actually keep a Coca-Cola around, and that's actually my favorite.
So what's your favorite dish that you cook here?
That's a good question. Did you guys have the beef crudo last time you were here?
I think we had the tagliatelle. The spaghetti was really good. That was my favorite. And I think we also had the ravioli.
I think those are the three. I think those were really good. And a mocktail.
Yep. So I think one of my favorites is actually not one of the pastas. I like cooking pasta more than anything else, but one of my favorites, it will probably stick around quite a bit, is the beef crudo. So we essentially just take a steak, cut all the tough bits off around the outside, and then just chop it up and mix it with flavorful ingredients like shallots or maybe there's not usually garlic in it, but you can do that. Capers sometimes.
I like capers.
And then it's just a nice little. You can have it just on a little piece of bread or a little piece of toast, or you can make it as fancy as you want.
That's cool.
Cool. Do you have any siblings or family that likes to cook women's restaurants?
Yes and no.
Oh.
So I have two sisters, and one of them has kids about your age. There's one your age, and then there's one 2 years older. So he's 14. And so they actually cook quite a bit at home. Her husband, Eric, does a lot of smoking, and the kids have done a bunch of cooking classes. And I think the last pictures I got from them, the kids were actually chopping vegetables alongside Mom. So.
What's your family's favorite dish that you make them?
What's your favorite dish that your family makes you?
Well, I'll meet somewhere in the middle on that, because my family didn't grow up with wildly exciting food necessarily. We had kind of a few, like, this is our special meal. There's 2 or 3 of those in the bank, right? So my dad would go to Alaska and go fishing every year. So we always had salmon around. And so that's one of our staples for our family is salmon that's been on the grill. It has a little bit of smoke on it, but then it's gently poached in red wine and butter, which I think was a wonderful happenstance. I don't think he did it on purpose that way, but it's actually a really, really nice way to cook fish.
Yeah.
So I've actually done a couple different versions of that. My mom would do there's always this fish, and then there was always a potato casserole sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we've done a couple different renditions of that. But the cheesy potato casserole is hard to do in a setting like this. But it's, potatoes are still good no matter how you slice it.
I don't think I've had them. I think I've had like one casserole. I don't eat a lot of casseroles, but...
You're missing out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Maybe not.
You got the inspiration for like fish dishes from your father, kind of?
Yeah, a little bit. We incorporate some of those techniques in the. So, like I mentioned, the fish is gently smoked.
Mm-hmm.
We actually do that a little bit with our steaks, actually. So we'll sear a steak, we'll season it, put it on the grill, and instead of just taking it off and let it rest like you would normally do, just one time, we'll sear it and then put it in the smoker for a little bit.
Cool.
And then we'll put it back on the grill, and then we'll let it rest in the smoker, so it's constantly smoking and charring, and then it rests, and then it goes in a final rest, which is actually something I picked up from my dad doing the salmon this way.
So do you have any inspirations for your dishes that were like kind of like? Do you have any inspirations for your dishes? I guess.
It's funny. If you sit down and if you guys walk through the dining room, we have cookbooks on all the tables now since people can't sit there. You can look through cookbooks. You can talk to people. You can write down ideas, and those are always kind of nice. But I think the best inspiration is when you're actually in the kitchen cooking, and we have multiple farmers come through the back door. For example, there's one of our favorites is Jane. Jane grows a few different things. It's not generally a wide swath of stuff, but everything that she does is really, really good. So, for example, when you get a head of celery and it has just a little bit, she grows celery that's small stalks and huge, bushy,
That sounds good.
super green, leafy celery. And so I said, bring us 6 of those and we'll see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
And so you would think, 1, 2, 3, it was like
A ton.
yeah. So and then you go, okay, well, we have this. Now what do we do? And so we made celery soda. We made celery oil. We made celery pesto.
Oh, celery. Celery soda.
What is celery soda?
We did it a few different ways. You can juice the celery. You can make a syrup out of the celery leaves. You can muddle one of the alcohol cocktails that we did was muddling a little bit of celery and then a lemon juice and then just a little bit of vodka to carry it. But just celery soda, I think what we ended up with was muddled celery, a lemon syrup, and then that got shaken and poured into the glass, and we top it with ice and soda water.
Sounds good.
Have you ever accidentally misdone a recipe and it turned out to be really good, and then have it as like a
All the time. You just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But that's actually I would say that's actually to your question about inspiration. Sometimes you just try really hard and it doesn't work, and then you make a mistake and all of a sudden it works, and
Yeah.
we just go, don't change anything, just keep going.
Do you have any questions for us about about what we cook, or?
Yeah. What do you like to cook?
Oh.
Definitely not casseroles.
Definitely not casseroles. Yeah, that's something
Well,
we might
I
need to
just
do
never
later
had
on.
casseroles, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to cook. Taryn likes to
I
bake
like
a
to
lot
bake
more,
Mm-hmm.
but I like making cookies and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
But I like doing risotto or
Mhm.
soups
Mhm.
or bread. Those are my main 3.
Soups, breads.
I'm really bad at remembering recipes, so I like to make a different recipes every single time
Mhm.
because I cannot remember recipes. So I like I like to do cake, and I do really like decorated cake. That's one of my favorite
We
things.
love
Oh,
we
really?
love
You
decorating.
can do so many
Uh-huh.
flavors, and it's really fun. And then I also like to do souffles,
Mhm.
and
Is there a good trick to doing the souffle so it puffs right?
probably can't let it cool at all, basically.
Mhm.
And I think mixing it really long helps. Just because you have to mix it for a really long time,
Mhm.
that helps a lot.
Like the pasta.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gotta knead it.
Yeah. Give it
And
some
then-
time. Give it some love.
Okay. I also like we have the breakfast dish that's really popular
Mhm.
that we like to make. It's called Dutch Baby. It's like a giant
Mhm.
cake. We
Mhm.
like to make those a lot.
Pancake that's poofy.
Yeah.
And there's also no sugar in it, so like if you add maple syrup, it's like a giant cake. It's really good.
Do you fold it, or do you just get big plates?
It's pretty
Well,
simple. You
we
just
take
kind
a
of
skillet,
take eggs.
Mhm.
And then we just put it in, and then
Mhm.
just cut it with a knife, put it on the pie, and just take it out. And just take it out.
Oh, okay.
It's like cinnamony.
So that's what I like to
eggy.
cook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. So you said you cook for your parents' anniversaries. Do you guys have plans for the next one coming up?
So the last one we did steak,
Mm-hmm.
ravioli,
Cake. The cake was really sweet. I think we did a chicken on the inside.
chicken pesto.
And then I think there's also no, was it chicken? I think it was like ricotta.
No, ricotta, maybe ricotta liver. Might have been ricotta liver. That was really good. I made a ricotta liver. Like ricotta liver ravioli, and it was really good. But yeah, steak I know we made. I think we had a salad, ravioli,
Yeah, we definitely
cake,
had salad.
I think something around that. Or tomato soup.
Oh, tomato soup and then wine.
That's great.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like tomato soup.
We had a lot of
I like
leftover
tomato
stuff.
soup. My mom's favorite dish is tomato soup and grilled cheese.
How'd you cook your steak?
River did it,
We have
and
a
Dad had to
Traeger.
help us, so we seasoned it with him, and then he just told us how to cook it, and so we just cooked
I
it.
think maybe
Oh,
we
yeah.
smoked
Yeah.
it in the Traeger and then
I
we
think we
just
smoked it, and then we cooked it.
No, we just made the outside
Seared it.
crispy on there.
Yeah.
And then the fire
That's
alarm went
that's
off.
basically what we do.
Yeah.
We were
good.
staring at the fire alarm went off during. So that was kind of
I was gonna say, how often are you guys actually cooking?
Oh, at least every day, like
Lunch.
lunch or
We
breakfast.
usually we always do lunch by ourselves unless we're really busy and mom has to make it for us. And then mom usually makes dinner, but we usually either make breakfast or lunch. And then yeah, mom and dad usually make dinner. So
Yeah.
That's a lot.
yeah.
So
That's great.
Usually it would be every day.
Yeah.
So what do you cook for breakfast when you have to cook breakfast?
Oh,
Dutch baby.
well, we get
Yep,
eggs
yep.
from our chicken.
Yeah.
So usually, if it's like a morning full of something, it's usually just like eggs. But we're not doing
Sriracha
like
sauce.
family breakfasts on Sunday. So I think last breakfast was
Pancakes.
bacon waffles, and this one was just bacon, eggs, and toast. But yeah, usually it's just something simple that we can make and like
Yeah.
It's normally eggs. It always is eggs.
yeah.
Well, those chickens are the best
Yeah.
chickens for
Yeah.
for your pasta too.
And they're fresh.
We had one egg that was like it wasn't even yellow. It was like completely orange. Like all like really orange. Like our chocolate orange. It was really
I lived in
bad.
a house that had 3 chickens out back, and we got 3 to 4 eggs every day. And my roommate who owned the chickens couldn't eat all of them, so we were constantly just
Eggs.
fresh eggs every day. It's great.
Yeah.
Our chickens like lay a ton of eggs at one point, then they kind of like stop completely, and then they kind of just like start again and lay a ton and then stop.
Do they stop laying eggs
Yeah.
when it gets cold?
Actually, it's usually when there's too many roosters, or
Oh yeah.
sometimes it's when they're really cold. But we have heating lamps up there,
Yeah.
so they do lay some. They usually lay a lot when it's really stressful.
Yeah, we used to get a ton of eggs because we had like 4 dozen at one point, and we were just giving away chickens for free.
They were laying 20 eggs, so
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
That's a lot of eggs.
Yeah,
That's a lot of omelets.
we had like they laid our chicken. We had like 8 chickens, and they laid like 60 babies.
Oh man.
Yeah,
We'd
They
look
were- they
up-
had-
Great.
Yeah.
We were like trying to look up recipes that use the most amount of eggs.
The rule of thumb for tough meat is long cook time.
Yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
maybe make soup out of it. I think what
I think we made like a stew and it was like fires.
Our
Yeah.
dad made a really tough London broil, and he couldn't figure out how to like soften it up and make this pressure cooker, so he used it. Now he's hooked on a pressure cooker, so he's using it for everything now.
yeah, I think probably usually what happens with roosters and that sort of thing, or like hens that are too old, because one of the reasons that they're so tender is that they're young. But once they get old, they're more flavorful. But you make the stock for your soup, you just toss the meat, or you can feed it to your dogs. Or
So how has the COVID and all that affected your restaurant?
everything's different. We used to have 12 people who worked here, and now there's 3. That's kind of the biggest. Yeah, oof is right. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. I believe you guys came to eat in between lockdowns, and for
Yeah.
us that was a casual moment.
Yeah.
So our normal, which we opened in November, and we were shut down in March. So that's 5 months, and we've actually been doing the more casual thing for longer than we've done our normal thing,
Yeah.
Wow.
which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And now,
You've been in COVID longer than you've had your business open without COVID.
yeah, exactly. And now, on the second lockdown, instead of trying to do takeout that doesn't, so if we did everything that we did normally and put it in a box and then somebody shakes it, it's ruined.
Yeah.
Or you have a butter sauce and somebody puts it in the microwave.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good.
Yes.
You're not going to enjoy it that way.
Yeah.
So we've had to make a number of decisions. How do we get food to your house that you might eat 2 hours later and still be as good as it was
Yeah.
when you first picked it up? So we ended up with sandwiches.
Cold foods.
Yeah, sandwiches. So
I
all of
love
our
sandwiches.
and all of our sandwiches are not necessarily hot. Because if you had a fried chicken sandwich, which is great, I love those. You get it home, it's gonna be soggy.
Yeah.
No good. So a lot of our sandwiches kind of rotate around the idea that it doesn't need to be hot. It doesn't necessarily need to be cold.
Yeah.
So things like for the season, Turducken witch. You know what turducken is?
No. Nope.
Turkey, duck, and chicken.
Oh.
So Turducken
I
normally
thought it was like a different
Sounds like a language.
It sounds like a different language. Turducken.
almost. So a normal turducken, which is sort of a weird thing, doesn't really happen very often, is that you take a chicken and you stuff it inside of a duck and you stuff that inside of a turkey.
Wow. What?
Like I said, it doesn't happen very often. So we take smoked turkey legs, confit duck legs, and chicken thighs grilled, and make a little mix and put that onto a sandwich, and then make a black garlic vinaigrette. Toss it with some vegetables and pickles. Put it on top.
So it's like a modified turducken
Turducken witch.
witch. So since you've been open for a long time in COVID, how are you like advertising your sandwiches?
Mostly, it's all social media. So there's other things that you can do, like you can make posts on Google. We do have a few printed ads out, but mostly it's Instagram and Facebook.
How can you find like how do they follow you on Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, I believe the handle is Gander _and _Ryegrass on Instagram. Yeah. And then Facebook is just Gander and Ryegrass.
How long did you work at Stunt, which is now Gander and Ryegrass?
I worked the grill station and, among other things, for a year and a half. So I probably would have stayed a lot longer, but we decided to move to Seattle. So couldn't work here anymore.
And now this is Gander and Ryegrass.
Now it's kind of a funny
Did you
connection.
Did you just like come back and it wasn't there anymore? Or?
Well, so Jeremy was the chef at Sante and the owner there. And when I moved back to town, I just called him to see what was going on. And we had a few conversations. And I was actually staying at home with my daughter. And he called me and said, meet me down at this. There was a moment between Sante and Gander and Ryegrass where it was a saloon. He said, meet me down at the saloon. I have an idea for you. And he said, I just took a job in Philadelphia. Do you want this restaurant? So he wasn't just giving it to
Right
me,
to the
but
point.
yeah. So we spent 3 weeks debating, and there was a lot of nights where I would pull up out front and just sit and stare into the windows and see what my imagination would come up with. And we
Obviously,
started the
this is
process.
yes.
Yeah, we started the process of buying it. Yeah.
How long did it take for like this restaurant to be open? Like how long before did you have to prepare and?
I think we were fully closed for 3 months. So, you remember how I told you about the curtains that were up here?
Yeah.
We had to pull those down. That wall wasn't there. Actually, the bar top that's over in the bar there was actually over here.
Oh.
So we turned it over, sanded it down, restained it. The head bartender and another cook of mine, you see all the shelves that were up there?
Yeah.
We spent 3 days at my house sanding and sawing, and
Why?
actually it was a couple days out in Idaho looking for the wood, and then we took it to my house, and after it was milled, and we spent 3 days sawing, sanding, and then they came down here, and and we had to stain them, which took another week.
Thank you for the interview.
Yeah.
This was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are not too bad at this.
Thank you.
All right, let's go make some pasta. Let's do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. This episode was brought to you by Thrive Market and these other wonderful sponsors: Remedy Kids, Farmers Juice, and Desert Farms.